Alright guys, don't mind how full the garage is. Today we are going to do an oil change on my 2016 Mustang GT. I've had it for about, I don't know, 3.5 months now. It's got about 400 miles on it, and I'm gonna go ahead and change the oil. So a lot of people might ask, why will I go ahead and change the oil at only 400 miles? Well, that's because of the amount of time that it actually takes to break in the motor. So these motors break in, all motors really, with heat cycles. What's a heat cycle? So a heat cycle is you go ahead, you start the motor, you run it for 15 minutes, let it get warm, you kill it. You'll run it for another 20 minutes after it cools down. You'll rev the throttle and vary the RPMs. Then after that, you can go ahead and change the engine oil. Some people will do one more heat cycle and then run it, and your motor's considered broken in. Let me get the latch here one moment. It's a little dark. They're upside down. There we go. Okay. So I'll get a light to get some better visibility. But that's the reason why I'm changing the oil so early. Really, the motor is broken in, and there's nothing better that you can do than to go ahead and replace the oil with a high quality synthetic oil. I'm using Castrol Edge, the 5W20 full synthetic, then a Mobile 1 oil filter. The reason why I'm using the Castrol Edge, I went to SEMA this year and I heard some pretty good things about it from the various engineers that were around, so we're going to give it a go. Alright, here we go. Alright, so tools that we're going to need to do this job are a 15 millimeter wrench for the drain plug, a 7 millimeter wrench for our Moses hole to get to our oil filter, an oil filter wrench, and a flashlight or two. And then these rags come in a lot of handy with dealing with anything oily, and as well as a couple of oil drain canisters. I always forget the technical name for those. I hate when I have mental blanks. But just those things, and we should be able to get this job done. Alright, let's get to it. So of course, first thing you want to do is put the car on jacks. I'm sorry the lighting is so bad. I have those on the pinch welds. For this vehicle, there are cutout sections along the underbody for jacks to go into. This side might give us some better visibility here. And you just want to put them down and right in there. And yes, these are Harbor Freight jack stands, and they will do just fine for the job. Alright, so we're all set up. I got the light there, magnetic, hanging on the bottom of the frame. There's the oil drain pan. And then, if you look right here, this is the oil drain plug that we are going to remove to drain out the oil. Now, a lot of people will say to remove the cap, the oil fill cap on top of the motor, so that way you get nice good flow going into your oil drain pans. I'm going to say not to. The reason being is you don't want that spraying everywhere. It is going to get all out, and you can open it up later once there's less pressure behind it. So go ahead and leave it closed just to start the initial drain. Once it slows down, open the cap and let the rest flow out. That way you're not sitting here all night. Alright, I've broken the nut loose. I got both oil drain catches here. I have safety glasses and gloves on. It is never worth the time of not putting safety glasses and gloves on when you're going to be doing something like this. Even though it's simple, it's always good to have. So when I remove this plug, one thing we want to look at is the amount of glitter in the oil. It is engine break-in, so it should be a little bit milky, but we still shouldn't have much glitter going on. If we have a lot of glitter, that's a concern and something that we might want to make the dealer aware of while it's still under warranty. And we're looking pretty good. Nice. Still brown, and this car sat on the lot for 1.5 years, so the oil should have started to separate, which is another reason why I'm actually changing the oil now, which is a little early. So this was the point I'm talking about. At this point, you want to go ahead and open the fill cap on top to get good flow again. So as that finishes draining, we'll let it trickle. We'll go ahead and start getting access to the oil filter while that's running its course. Okay, so I've heard of a lot of complaints about getting to the oil filter on these cars. We are on the left side of the car, right behind the left front tire. In fact, that is the tie rod, the outer tie rod, right there, and we're just inside of that, and there's our oil filter. So a lot of times people, from what I hear, will just try to go ahead and pull that out. We're going to leak oil all over this piece right here. This right here, try to get a good picture of that. See this crease that the flashlight is on? That crease right there is designed to fold. All you have to do is remove that bolt, and that will fold down and out of the way. That way you can unscrew the oil filter with your oil drain right under it, and you will be just fine. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, so we're getting ready to pull off the oil filter. We're going to go ahead and use an oil filter wrench. Makes it really easy. You just clamp onto the oil filter and then you loosen it, and it comes right out. There's other ways to do it. I used to poke a screwdriver through the filter. It can get a little bit messy with oil, and then you have sharp edges you got to worry about. This is the easiest way. They're really cheap. You can get a cheap one from Harbor Freight, and they work and they last. If I'm not mistaken, that's where this one's from. We went ahead and we pulled out that screw to open this Moses hole right here. And just inside that Moses hole, if you guys can see, if I can see, there it is, our oil filter right up there. Really well designed on Ford's behalf. So then we'll just go up in here, get our wrench around it, turn it a few times, let it drop out, have the new one ready to go. That way we're not dripping oil for too long. And screw it back in. And when we tighten it, it's just hand tight. Almost as tight as we can get it with our hand, without going to any extreme measures. Okay, so what we want to do, and this is the same on any oil filter change, is on the new oil filter, we want to put lube right around this black ring right here. And that will ensure that we have a good gasket seal on the mating surface. One thing to note, guys, regardless of how you do this, it is a bit of a messy job anytime you're dealing with oil and fluids. It's always hard to be 100% clear. Having a roll of these around is great. I did get a little bit of oil on the cover for the Moses hole. Anytime you work on something, you want it to look like it did from the factory, as if no one had ever touched it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go under, we're going to use some brake clean. We're going to spray just a little bit, just to make sure we get all the oil off. And then from there, clean everything up and button that up, put it all back together. But we really want to make sure that no oil residues around. That way it doesn't catch any dirt. If we have a leak, we know it's not from any oil that we left there, any residual. It's something that is unrelated. Okay, as promised, cleaned everything up. Not the best lighting, but I'm trying to give you guys a good picture here. It's nice and shiny, but no oil residue. Our new oil filter is in, it's hand tightened. Let's see if I can get a good visual. There's our new oil filter, Mobile One, hand tightened, all the oil wiped up off of it. We'll go ahead and put the screw back in. It's just a 7mm screw that we need on this guy right down there, and we're going to put it back on the flap up here that allowed us to have access to the oil. If you can see that, I'm bending it back up. Just goes right back on, really easy. I'm starting to realize making this video at night was probably not the greatest idea I've ever had. Visibility is fine for me. I have plenty of lighting in here, but for some reason on the camera it doesn't show as much light as it really is. But anyway, here's your oil fill, and our oil capacity with oil filter change is 8 quarts. We're going to go ahead and put 8 quarts in there. Now we always want to run it, let it cool down, let all the oil drip back into the pan, and then recheck our oil level. That's when we know for sure that we have the proper amount of oil. The oil is a 5W20, and once again I'm using the full synthetic, the Castrol Edge. I can't say this enough, a good filter is worth, sorry, not a good filter, a good funnel is worth its weight in gold. And if I can find where I put my flashlight, I will show you what I mean. Okay, so this becomes really easy. The right funnel, straight in the hole, and we'll be able to pour up and into it. Really, really, really nice, really easy. That's what we want. So we're almost done with this oil change. The last thing that we want to do is go ahead and do our oil life reset. So currently it said that we had 89% oil life left in that oil. That was break-in oil, so it wasn't necessarily correct. We're just going to go ahead and hold to reset. And then we're back up to 100. So that is all that it takes to do your oil life reset. Now we're going to go ahead and go on a test drive, let the oil warm up, bring the car back in the garage, let it cool down, check our oil level, and if necessary, add any oil. That is all. The job is done. Get out there and enjoy your ride. Thanks for watching. See you soon.